What is going on? We're out here jumping on the old TikTok train. I'm going to show you guys a quick boat layout video in response to the video I seen from Fishing with JB. He was asking people to post pictures or whatever, so I'm going to do a video and tag him in it, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. If you've got older boats like he and I do, it's just a good way to help people out who might be looking for storage options or stuff like that, because everybody knows these older boats, they don't have necessarily all the little knickknacks and toy holders and stuff that a lot of these newer boats have. So I'm gonna hop in the boat and I'm gonna show you how my boat is set up, and then you guys can comment in the video with your boat layouts and let me know what you've got going on. All right, so as you guys know, I have a 2011 Nitro Z7. And you guys know, if you do have one of these boats, there's not a whole lot of storage options on these boats as far as, you know, like bait holders and stuff like that goes. So anyway, we'll start in this box over here. This side is where I keep all my rods and reels. Right now I've got 26 rods and reels in here with my bait casters and stuff on this side, and then I got my spinning reels on that side over there. And as you can see, I've got plenty of room for more. I could probably fit all 40 something rods and reels that I own in here. I do know that I've got an 8-foot 10-inch crappie rod that will fit easily in here. And one thing I'll say about all these Nitro boats is they do have plenty of rod storage. I also have my active target box mounted in here, and you will notice that it is mounted upside down. I did that on purpose just because I know there's not going to be any water and stuff getting in here, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier to get cables and stuff off should you need to pull cables. And I don't wish that on anybody, but it does make it a little bit easier. Moving on to the center box. This box, I have almost all of my tackle. And of course, you can see I've got my jigs, jerk baits, deep cranks, caffeine shads, flukes, brush hogs, jig trailers, swim jigs, toads, weights, swivels, terminals, just general terminal tackle. And then over here is like my little flat sides, my square bills, and all that good stuff. As I said, with these older boats, sometimes storage and, like, you know, bait hangers and stuff is a problem. I found these little hook and loop pads on, I think I found them at Sportsman's Warehouse. These have been on here about 3 years. As you can see, I got some of my favorite little crankbaits that I use quite often. They're my rock crawlers and stuff that I was catching my smallmouth on back in the winter when we was fishing the South Centrals. And then of course I got some chatterbaits, some jig head minnows, and of course my handy dandy jigs. This is on a cool foot, just a little foam bait holder pad. Anytime you order a cool foot pad for a trolling motor or a hot foot, they will send you one of those little pads to hang your baits on. Then up here, all this is a coil tag holder. And I thought it would be a great way to hang spinner baits. And these are all my favorite spinner baits. Whenever I need to change one out or, you know, whatever, I just raise the lid up, grab the one I need, tie it on, take the one I just took off or cut off, and just hang it up here so it can dry out. So, one other thing, I don't know if I mentioned it, but like I said, you got to find ways to be innovative with these older boats. You'll notice I've got all these little pouches. These are just little automotive style pouches that go on with 3M tape that I got off Amazon to hold stuff like bait, scent, dye pens, extra sunglasses, pliers, extra scissors, you know, side cutters, more bait, scent, and then of course my little lure knockers and stuff. But you got to be kind of, like I said, innovative, think outside the box with these older boats when you need storage options, because they're few and far between on these older boats. All right, moving over to the other rod locker. I keep my life jackets, my dip net, my rain jacket. I've got just a Bass Mafia bag there of just miscellaneous swim baits and underspins and stuff. And then I've got these handy dandy Flambeau boxes. I used to keep all my soft baits and stuff like this, all my worms and stuff, in like bait binders and bags. And I found out over time that it's kind of hard, especially like if it's raining or whatever, to fumble through those bags and zippers, or if it's cold or whatever, trying to find what you need. So I found you can get 4 of these off Amazon for like 30 bucks or less. And you can see I've got all my ribbon tail worms, like my stick bait, Senkos, whatever you choose to call them in there. All my shaky head worms in here. And it just makes it so much easier. You just pop these boxes open, you know, just kind of flip through, grab what you want, close the box back up, and move on. And the good thing about those boxes is too, if you do keep terminal tackle in them, they are the Z-Rust boxes, so they won't rust your hooks and stuff off. Also, I have this line spool holder here. I think I also got that from Ashmore Marine Products. I think it was around 30 bucks or so. I used to keep my line spools in like a little Rubbermaid box, and every time I had to tie a leader on, I'd have to fumble through that box, find the spool I needed, get it out, you know, fight it out here in the floor of the boat. With these, they come with these little bands, and you just run your line up to the little hole in the spool. Like if I'm throwing a drop shot or whatever, depending on the situation, I just pull off what line I need. Tie my leader on, cut it off, and then just close the lid back up. Super convenient. It's out of the way. I don't have to dig for line. You know, I've got it labeled. I know what line is what, and it just really cuts down on the, you know, the time that you're not fishing. All right, moving on to the little step. This is, of course, the cooler. Of course, there's nothing in it right now. I do keep my plug out of my cooler because when I've got ice and stuff in there, I don't want that water kind of standing in there and stagnating and stuff, so I always leave the plug out of it. I don't ever put no tackle or anything in there. I don't have to worry about it falling down to the plug. And then, of course, there's a little handy dandy trash can that usually gets full of used baits, line, wrappers, depending on if Nicholas is in the boat or whatever. And then one thing I did do, because these older boats did not have bump board holders, I got this little bump board puck. I think it also come from Ashmore Marine. And all I done was I took a Dremel and cut a little slot out there and then marked the holes and drilled it out. It's a really great way to hold your bump board. It's not in the floor. You're not having to dig into your rod locker to find it. People's not stepping on them and bending them and all that good stuff, but it's just, that's where it goes. It just sits right in there. It's out of the way. It's convenient. It was cheap, easy way to store your bump board. As I said repeatedly, these older boats, you got to find ways to store stuff. I did not have little holders for my pliers and my scissors and my fizzing needle and all that good stuff. So again, what I did was I got on Amazon and I got these little automotive pouches. Again, they just go on with 3M tape. I've got just a little miscellaneous one here. You can put a cell phone or, you know, some baits in or whatever in there. And then it holds my pliers, my scissors, and my little fizzing needle. And they're all right there, easy to get to, out of the way. They're not bouncing around the floor. People's not stepping on them, dropping them, poking holes and stuff, and all that good stuff. Very convenient, very cheap way to store your pliers and your scissors. Moving on to the back compartments and the live well. The live well is pretty basic. It's, I think, a 30-gallon live well. And then again, I have my little coil tag holder here from Ashmore Marine. It just goes on with some really, really heavy duty tape. That thing's been on there for a couple years now and worked out pretty well. If you don't have a coil tag holder in your live well, I highly suggest you get one, because sometimes trying to dig around, especially if you got fish in your live well, trying to find coil tags and stuff, it can be a hassle and you end up getting finned and poked, and it's not fun and it doesn't feel good. One thing also, if you own a Z7 or a Z18 Nitro, you notice these live wells do not open front to back. They open middle to the side. You also know that these live well lids, for whatever reason, I said this in one of my older videos, Whatever reason, they did not put latches on them like a normal live well. They put the stupid little loops on them. When it gets cold in the wintertime or it's raining, those loops are such a pain in the butt to try to pull those live well lids open with. I got fed up with it. You can get these White Cap Marine 2.5-inch latches off Amazon. They're the exact same ones that come factory on the boat. I don't remember right off the top of my head. These are not the keyed ones. These are the keyless ones, so these do not lock. They don't need to lock. You can get them. I think you get these. I think these are like 20 bucks, and the locking ones are like 30 or 40. But anyway, I got those. All I did was I measured the other ones on the other boxes about how far back they were from the edge of the lid. Got me a circle saw and cut the holes out. And I mean, these things are such a lifesaver on these live wells. I suggest anybody that's got an older Z7 or Z18, it's well worth the money. You don't have to worry about the lids popping open when you're driving down the road. You don't have to worry about fighting them stupid loops when it gets cold weather and they get frozen. Moving on to these back boxes on the driver's side over here, I keep, of course, my little handy dandy hand towel. I keep my TP in my dry bag. And of course I've got face shields down there for when the weather gets cold. I've got my coil bar, my scale, which I plan on getting me a Bubba scale at some point because that thing is junk. I've got my extension cord. I've got jumper cables. Got my little toolkit in case, you know, need to work on something on the boat, because it does happen when you have breakdowns, trolling motors, spark plugs, you know. It's just for smaller stuff. I've got extra fuses and stuff in there in case I blow a fuse. And of course I've got my handy dandy bottle of G-Juice. That stuff is amazing. I have not lost a fish since I've been using that stuff, believe it or not. And then in the opposite box, I usually keep it empty, and somebody's fishing with me if we're fishing a tournament. They can put their stuff in here. Or if me and Nicholas is just out fun fishing, he can put his towels and his good old iPad in there if he should choose to. All right, guys, that's it for my little boat layout video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if it gave you an idea for your boat. Don't forget to tag Fishing with JB and also tag myself if you post any pictures or videos on social media. I'd like to see what you guys have. If you would like to see any other parts of my boat, such as, you know, graphs, trolling motors, battery compartments, or my trailer, or whatever, drop a comment, let me know, and I'll try to make it happen. As always, guys, till next time, till I see you again, keep casting.